Warning. This video mentions topics of Munchausen syndrome by proxy, illness, child abuse, murder, mental illness, and incarceration. If you are sensitive to any of these topics, please exit out of the video now, and please do not show any disrespect or hate to anyone mentioned in this video. This video was made using information from the case and from other public sources on the internet. So grab a snack and enjoy the video. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the infamous case, true crime story, murder, and release of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, her mother Claudine Dee Dee Blanchard, Nicholas Godejohn. We're going to be covering all of the stuff and basically how this format is going to go. Originally, I was just going to talk about my thoughts about her release and things like that, but my mind and my body just wouldn't let me do that. So we are going to start from the very beginning. We're going to talk about the whole case. We're going to talk about Gypsy's life growing up as a victim of Munchausen syndrome by proxy. We're going to talk about how she met Nick, her mother, the murder, everything like that. And then we're going to talk about all the way up until she was released and my concerns with her release. I already gave you guys the content warnings for this video. Again, I'm just going to say if you are uncomfortable with any of the things mentioned in this video, please just exit out now. I'm really excited about this because this is kind of like my first little toe dip into like the true crime kind of thing. And I am going to also be doing my makeup while we're talking about this. I don't want to do that to be disrespectful. Like, I don't want to be like, ooh, makeup, while I'm talking about a literal, murder. But I just need something to do with my hands while I'm talking about this. Also, I know there are many other people on the platform who do stuff like this, like Bailey Sarian, and there's a bunch of other true crime YouTubers. I'm not trying to come for their brand. I'm not trying to copy them. I'm just doing a video on Gypsy Rose Blanchard for my channel because I have known about this case ever since it happened, and I've been keeping very close eye on everything since then. Let's get started. So Gypsy Rose Blanchard was born on July 27th, 1991, making her 32 years old today. She was born in Golden Meadow, Louisiana by her parents Claudine Dee Dee, which was her nickname Blanchard, and Rod Blanchard. Dee Dee and Rod separated shortly after Gypsy was born in 1991, leaving Gypsy in the care of her mother for most of her life. And Gypsy Rose was a victim of what is known as Munchausen syndrome by proxy at the hands of her mother. Keep that in mind because that plays a huge role in this case. And her mother, Claudine, otherwise known as Dee Dee Blanchard, was born on May 3rd, 1967, and was murdered on June 9th, 2015, at the hands of Nicholas Godejohn and her daughter, Gypsy Rose. Now, who is Nicholas? What is Munchausen syndrome by proxy? And what led to this infamous crime and true crime story? Let's talk about it. Now, for those of you who do not know what Munchausen syndrome by proxy is, the exact definition is Munchausen syndrome by proxy is a mental illness in the form of child abuse, where the caretaker of a child, in most cases the mother, makes up fake symptoms or causes real symptoms to make their child sick when in reality the child is perfectly healthy. And Gypsy Rose was in fact a victim of Munchausen by proxy at the hands of her mother for most of her life. It all started when Gypsy was very, very young and her mother put her in a wheelchair because she couldn't walk. Gypsy was also given many unnecessary medications that caused her teeth to rot and fall out and be removed. She had her salivary glands removed. Her mother shaved Gypsy's head to make it look like that Gypsy had cancer. She had a feeding tube. Her mother told everybody that Gypsy was mentally incapacitated and had the mind of a child. She claimed that Gypsy had seizures, cancer, sleep apnea, asthma, hearing and vision impairments, muscular dystrophy. The list goes on and on and on. Gypsy went through somewhere around 25 to 30 procedures and operations, and Gypsy's mother even lied about Gypsy's birth year to make Gypsy appear younger so that Gypsy could never speak for herself regarding her own health care. And whenever doctors questioned Dee Dee about Gypsy's diagnoses, Dee Dee would move to different doctors to avoid suspicion. Gypsy was also never allowed to have a proper relationship with her father Rod because Dee Dee would often lie to Rod about how Gypsy was doing, and I personally believe that Dee Dee did not want Rod speaking to Gypsy just in case he slipped up and said something that would make Gypsy question what was really going on with her. Gypsy was also never allowed to have proper friendships, and she was never allowed to date. After Hurricane Katrina hit Louisiana in 2005, Dee Dee and Gypsy moved to Missouri in October of 2005. Giving Dee Dee the perfect excuse, saying that the hurricane destroyed all of Gypsy's medical records so that they could continue this scheme and this scam in a whole other state without causing any suspicion from anybody. All new doctors, Dee Dee could say whatever she wanted about Gypsy and what was wrong with her when really there was nothing wrong with her. Once they made it to Missouri, they were given a brand new house that was built by the people of Habitat for Humanity. And Dee Dee also scammed several organizations out of thousands of dollars for treatments for Gypsy's care for all of her illnesses. And this went on for years. Now, as Gypsy grew older, she always knew that she could walk. But as she started to get older, she began to start questioning her mother's intentions, and she began to question if she was really actually ever sick at all. Gypsy wanted to be a normal teenager. She wanted to have normal friendships. She wanted a normal life, and eventually she wanted to date boys. And that's when she meets a man by the name of Nicholas Godejohn. Nicholas Godejohn was born on May 20th, 1989 in Big Bend, Wisconsin. Nicholas and Gypsy met secretly through an online dating site. Nicholas was 23 and Gypsy was 21 years old. Now, Nicholas, he had quite a few mental illnesses himself. He also had some other developmental disorders, such as autism, Asperger's, and Nicholas also claimed that he had multiple personalities inside of him, otherwise known as DID. However, that has not ever been officially confirmed as to whether or not he did have DID. Now, when it comes to Nicholas, Gypsy was none the wiser when it came to him. You know, despite all of Nicholas's struggles, Gypsy was very much excited. She thought she found her life partner, her Prince Charming. And despite many efforts to get Dee Dee to accept Gypsy and Nicholas's relationship, Dee Dee absolutely detested the relationship and forbid it from happening and forbid them to ever see each other. Dee Dee simply just wouldn't allow it. There was instances where Dee Dee would punish Gypsy by tying her to a bed and smashing her secret computer as well. Now, being the victim of Munchausen syndrome by proxy is almost very similar to being in an abusive relationship. People always ask the same question. Well, why didn't you just leave? Why did you stay? Why didn't you tell anybody? Well, in a sense, you can't. You feel trapped, you feel stuck, you feel as if absolutely nobody will believe you. No one will help you, there's no way out, you're scared. It's almost like you become so used to the abuse that you just don't know any different and you don't know how to escape it. And another thing that made it very difficult is Dee Dee would always tell people that Gypsy had the mind of a child and she didn't know what she was talking about half the time. So how could Gypsy truly make anyone believe her when everyone around her believed that she didn't know what she was talking about and that she had the mind of a child? Now, yes, I'm sure Gypsy could just simply get up and walk, like physically walk out the door and ask for help. However, it's not that easy, especially when your mind has been so molded and so groomed to be a certain way for so long. It's literally like you're stuck. And also, especially if you're a young child that's a victim of Munchausen by proxy, sometimes you can't even speak for yourself. Now, Gypsy grew up in it. She became a full-blown adult in it. When it comes to Gypsy, Gypsy really wanted to be with Nick. She wanted to run away with him. She wanted to get married, have babies, have a normal life. This was her first experience falling in love. She was in love. She wanted to be a healthy adult, and she was a healthy adult, but she just saw no way out. Like, she saw no way of escaping her mother except for murder. In early 2015, Gypsy and Nick were talking, and they decided to come up with different plans on how they could be together. These plans were known as Plan A, Plan B, and Plan C. Plan A was to run away. Now, Gypsy had already attempted to run away in 2011, but she was unsuccessful when her mother eventually found her, which led to even more child abuse by tying her to a bed for days on end. Plan B, which was to have Nick impregnate Gypsy, so that way her mother would have no choice but to accept the relationship. And Plan C, which was to have Nick kill Dee Dee for Gypsy. Now, once they decided on Plan C, they decided to put that plan into action. Gypsy sent Nick money to Big Bend, Wisconsin, where he was living. She sent him money for a bus ticket to Missouri. She sent him money for hotel rooms and for cab rides. And Gypsy stole the murder weapon, which was a knife in this case, from a local Walmart. Now, I know this is totally irrelevant, but for those of you wondering, I am using the Scorpio palette again today. I'm mostly using the browns and the reds for this look. So I just wanted to point that out. Okay, back to the murder. So in the early morning hours of June 9th, 2015, as Dee Dee Blanchard slept peacefully in their home, Nick showed up to the house, Gypsy let Nick into the house, handed him a pair of gloves and the knife, and pointed Nick in the direction of their bedroom where Dee Dee was sleeping. Nicholas Godejohn ended up stabbing Dee Dee Blanchard 17 times in the back while she lay there screaming for Gypsy. Now, where was Gypsy during this, you may ask? Now, Gypsy was in the bathroom with her ears and her eyes shut so she didn't have to listen to her mother's demise. Once the murder was complete, they cleaned up as much as they could and headed to Big Bend, Wisconsin, where they ended up staying with Nicholas Godejohn's parents, where Nicholas lived. After making some pretty gruesome Facebook posts on Dee Dee and Gypsy's shared Facebook page, the body was found, and on June 15th, Nick and Gypsy were tracked down, caught, and arrested. Now, when they were arrested and they were brought into the interrogation rooms, originally Gypsy did lie about the crime and tried to act like she did not know that her mother was dead, but eventually both Gypsy and Nick admitted to the murder of Dee Dee Blanchard. Now, since Nicholas Godejohn committed the actual act of murder, he did have a trial where Gypsy was in fact present and she did testify at. Nick was eventually convicted of first-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison in 2018. Gypsy conspired and came up with the plan to murder her mother. However, since Gypsy did not actually commit the actual act of murder, she pled guilty and was convicted of second-degree murder, and she was sentenced to 8 to 10 years in prison. And then fast forward 8.5 years later, at 3:30 a.m. on December 28th, 2023, Gypsy Rose Blanchard was released from prison after serving 80% or more of her original sentence. Now, you'll have to excuse me on the actual release date because I don't know if it was 3:30 a.m. on December 28th or if it was 3:30 a.m. December 29th. I couldn't really quite find that out, so if the date is wrong, I apologize, but I do know it was at 3:30 in the morning. Why 3:30 in the morning? I have no frickin' idea, but 3:30 in the morning, whether that be December 28th or 29th, there you go. And for the first time in Gypsy's life, for the first time in 32 years, Gypsy was finally free. And she was able to live her life as a free woman, free from abuse and free from prison. No one telling her what to do, no one taking control of her health and her well-being. It's just crazy that it took her 32 years to finally get to this point. Now, when it comes to the murder of Dee Dee Blanchard, I'm just gonna be honest, I don't blame Gypsy for what she did. Every single human being has a breaking point, and Gypsy literally took all that she could. Now, yes, obviously murder is very wrong. That is a very drastic and very permanent step to take, and it should have never happened, but let's just be honest, like, I'm sorry, but Dee Dee had it coming, man. She had it coming. Like, I'm sorry. Now, I am very happy for Gypsy. I am actually very excited that she is finally released. I have been a Gypsy supporter from the very beginning. While I know, yes, what she did was wrong, I think what happened to Gypsy was worse. She missed out on a whole entire life. She missed out on a childhood. You know what I mean? So I'm just very happy for Gypsy and I'm very excited for Gypsy. However, since Gypsy has been released, I do have some concerns that I would like to talk about, and I'm very curious to know if you guys share any of these same concerns as I do. First off, before we get into my concerns that I have, we should probably talk about where Gypsy and Nick are now as far as their relationship goes. And Gypsy and Nick are no longer together. Nicholas Godejohn is still in prison serving his life sentence. And Gypsy, obviously, is released. And she is now married to a man named Ryan Anderson. She met Ryan Anderson while she was in prison, and they actually got married while Gypsy was incarcerated. And Ryan Anderson is a 37-year-old 6th grade social studies teacher in Louisiana. And ever since Gypsy has been released from prison, literally not even a month ago as I'm filming this, she has literally just boomed all over the internet and media. She's been doing interviews on morning television shows. She did a Lifetime TV series. She's writing books. She has Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. I mean, Gypsy is literally everywhere now. And that's kind of where my concern lies. Now, when it comes to that, I have absolutely no issue with Gypsy finally being able to come forward and tell her truth and speak on her truth about what she endured with her mother. And I think it's incredibly empowering and super awesome that Gypsy has now become an advocate speaking on behalf of other victims of Munchausen syndrome by proxy, bringing awareness to it, because it is something that is not very well known, and it is something that does need to be brought to more people's attention, and I think it's great that she's advocating for that. The issue I have with her booming all over social media is, you gotta remember, Gypsy had an entire lifetime where she was being told what to do. Every decision was made for her as a child, a young adult, and then an adult in prison. Literally every decision was made for her. She was told when she could eat, shower, even go to the bathroom. And now that she is finally free for the first time in her 32 years of life, she has almost kind of like just thrown herself right away into this crazy, world of social media freely. And that's scary to me. Being pretty much reborn, I almost wish that she would kind of like take it easy a little bit and kind of just focus on learning what it's like to live as a free American woman. You know what I mean? I worry, and I just have concerns about that, because I don't think Gypsy, quite understands what it's like to be out there on social media. I feel like she almost dove in to the social media scene too quickly, and I mean, that's gotta be overwhelming. I mean, you grew up with this horrible childhood, you lost your mother, granted at your hands, you go to prison, and you get out of prison, and you're like one of the most famous people that's being talked about constantly. I mean, that's gotta be overwhelming. I mean, shit, it was overwhelming for me, like just seeing her literally everywhere. If that's what Gypsy wants to do, then I mean, get your bag, girl, get your bag. I want Gypsy to finally live and have a happy life. I want her to have a happy and successful marriage. I want Gypsy to have a family of her own so she can give her own future son and or daughter a proper childhood. I worry about, the negativity that comes with social media, and I worry, does Gypsy have the tools in order to handle things like that? I worry that the negativity is eventually going to, build up on her. I mean, granted, she does have a lot of supporters, but there's always going to be negativity no matter who you are. And I just worry that negativity is going to like build and build and build, because social media can be one nasty beast, especially when you don't know how to handle it when it's coming at you so quickly. I just hope that when it comes to Gypsy, I hope that she has somebody to tell her, when it's time to back off a little bit, or when she should and shouldn't share things, because I mean, she's been pretty open about her life since being released, especially getting that Fire D from hubby every night. Girl. My concern is just how quickly she just opened the floodgates and was like, I'm here, bitch, I'm free, let's social media it up. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Do any of you guys share these same concerns? But what I will say is, from the interviews that I have watched and just from following her on social media, yes, I do follow her on Instagram, not even gonna lie, she does seem very happy. She does seem very much in control of her life. And I love to see that, because she has never had control of her life. 32 years, she has never been able to call her own shots, make her own decisions. Do you know what I mean? Well, I mean, she made one decision, killing her mom, but that's beside the point. Getting her hair done, she's doing her nails, she's wearing makeup, she's seeing her family and her friends. Finally, like, could you imagine being trapped for 32 years and then finally just, like, that's insane to me. So today, Gypsy is living in Louisiana with her husband, and she has a good rekindled relationship with her father, her stepmother, and all of her other family. Now, do I think that Gypsy is a cold-blooded murderer? No, I do not. Do I believe that Gypsy will reoffend and murder somebody else? No, I do not. Truly, in my heart of hearts, I do not believe that Gypsy is a murderer. I do not believe that she will ever reoffend. I believe that what happened was a very sad and very unfortunate situation that just went too far. But at the end of the day, we are all human. We all have a breaking point. And for Gypsy, murder, that was her breaking point. Like, that's the only way that she felt that she could escape and be free. I truly believe that Gypsy loved her mother. I really do. I think that she loved her mother, but at the same time, you know, her mother was her worst enemy. And I think if Gypsy could go back and change things and do things differently, I think she would 100%. Now, when it comes to Nicholas Godejohn, do I think it's fair that Nick is still serving a life sentence in prison and Gypsy is free? Yes, I do think that is fair. Nick willingly and knowingly went into that house knowing that he was going to commit a murder, knowing that he was going to kill somebody, and he did. He committed the act of killing somebody and taking somebody's life. A life sentence for first-degree premeditated murder is the consequence of that action. He knew what he was doing regardless of, you know, whatever mental illness he thought he had at the time. No, you did what you did the crime, you served the time. And Gypsy did commit a crime, yes, absolutely. She's a felon, like, she did a crime, like 100%. She's not, you know, completely innocent here. However, she served her time, she served her sentence, and she was released. When she was in prison, she got her GED, she finished high school, she got a job in prison. She made the time that she had in prison worth something and mean something, and she wanted to do better for herself, and she wanted to be better once she did get out of prison. And that's what she did. She served her time, and she fully 100% deserves to be happy. And I just want Gypsy to be safe physically, mentally, spiritually. Those are like my main hopes for her. I just don't want her to become so overly consumed by this social media that is just going crazy right now. You know, I kind of wish that she would just pull back a little bit. I mean, she can do whatever she wants, absolutely. She is a free woman after all, but it's just kind of scary for me to see because I'm like, oh, like, I worry about you, like, you don't really know what you're doing. What do you guys think about all of this? Do we share the same thoughts? Do we have different thoughts? You know, what are your opinions on, you know, the crime? What do you think about her being released? What do you think about her, you know, being on social media everywhere? Let me know down below, but please, please keep it respectful. Do not send hate to anyone I mentioned in this video, and please do not show hate or disrespect anybody else in the comments. This is a safe space here. You are allowed to share any and all opinions down in the comments. So if you see a comment that you don't agree with or that you don't like, just keep scrolling. We don't need to fight about this. It is what it is. The crime happened. It's done. No amount of arguing is going to change what happened. No amount of arguing and name calling is going to bring Dee Dee back. It's not going to get Nick out of prison. It's not going to put Gypsy back in prison. So let's just please all be respectful down in the comments. But I really, really want to know what your guys' thoughts are and if we share the same thoughts and concerns. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I also really want to know how you think this video went. Do you think it flowed okay? Do you want to see more videos like this? That's what I really want to know, because at the end of the day, this channel is not only for me, but it's a great majority for you guys. Like, I want to do what you guys want to see. If you guys did enjoy this video, please go down and give a huge thumbs up down below. If you are new to my channel, I just want to say welcome. Make sure you go down and hit that red subscribe button, turn on all notifications so you don't miss out on anything from me. And as the rest of you guys, I love you so very much. Thank you so much for watching this video. I truly appreciate it. Please be safe out there. If you see something, say something. If you're going through something, you're not alone and there is help for you. I love you guys, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye! Mwah.